I've honestly tried to keep it to 45 minutes, but like the last time I gave this talk, it was like, well, hourish. Okay, I'm trying. So this is my legal disclaimer. I'm not a lawyer, but I've Googled on the internet, so this is the best proximity of a legal disclaimer I could come up with. Basically what this states is I am not a bad guy. I am a good guy who is paid to be a bad guy, so I will never try to steal from you, kill you, or destroy you unless you pay me first. So when I talk about examples and things that I've done that sound really horrible and mean and like, I can't believe he just did that, I was paid to do that from the client to do it to themselves. So don't do these things unless you have authorization. I think one of the biggest ways is I think between a hacker and a criminal, the key thing is permission. So I have permission. As you can tell, there's already a theme. The title of the talk is Breaking in Bad. I'm the one who doesn't knock. If you don't know what the Breaking Bad TV show is, it's going to be really weird for you because that's my whole theme. But hopefully you are familiar with a little bit about Breaking Bad, and then you'll like at least chuckle halfway through, which would be nice. Who am I? That's what Google's for. It's like the main thing you need to know is I'm a guy who likes to do not just red team, but blue team. So this talk, even though it's offensive and talks about some of the things I do from the red team standpoint, it's at the end of it, I actually give you some blue team knowledge. I call this, last year was my rant talk. This year, I call this talk my dessert and vegetables because I give you the dessert first and then the vegetables. And that'll be abundantly clear later on. One of the other things I hate is APT, APT this, APT that. APT is basically saying we got pwned by a phishing scam, but we want to tell our investors, that it was an advanced attack, so they'll cover it and they'll feel better about, getting attacked. It's one of the things that you see in a lot of these talks and a lot of these things you keep seeing, conference after conference, is all these advanced techniques now. It's like, oh, well, we've got this new injection and stuff, where we can take over a car, or we can go and we take over this, or it's like we can go hack airplanes. Sorry, Side Dragon. It's like, we can do all these advanced things. How many sites got attacked in the last 2 or 3 years because of some crazy 0 day and stuff, besides the ones we did to Iran? But besides those, which ones have been knocked out by, 0 day? And which ones have been because of a phishing scam or a common SQL injection? People keep talking about low-hanging fruit, and my whole thing is, screw the whole low-hanging fruit and stuff. The fruit is on the ground and it's about to grow another tree. That's where we're at right now in this industry. So stop talking about advanced persistent threats. And what I sum it up with is like I do some basic adorable destruction. I do like being bad. It's like I try to be the lowest common denominator during an attack. You cannot go through one of my attacks and be able to say, oh, well, that Jayson, he was like an advanced super ninja cyber warrior and stuff. It's like, how could we withstand that kind of attack? Usually after my attack, you go like, really? That's all you did? And I'm like, yes, it is that easy. And that's what they're doing. Let me show you some of the basic steps of being bad. These are the key indicators of a person being bad. It's like, this is really bad for the recording because it's like I can't read this, but we'll go for it. Number one, step one, recon mode is only about 2 hours of Google and victim's own website, though I've never used a full 2 hours yet, ever. 2, SE mode is usually walking into victim's location and winging it. Note, sometimes without doing number one, I do that quite a bit. I will just like walk in and go, let's see how this goes, and usually it goes pretty well. 3, punish mode is basically plugging into a device into the victim's computer network, sometimes with their help, mostly with their help. 4, 5, profit, usually, me, because, I'm getting paid for this, right? So that's all good. And they get the profit because they get the knowledge and they get the understanding and they get the education. Because the whole thing, one of the other key things about this is like, the reason why we do this is not because it's just incredibly awesomely fun, but it's also to help the person, the client, so they can become better. If you go into a location and you go into a client and stuff, and you tear up and totally destroy their network, and then a year later, you go back in and you see some of the same failings and you see some of the same mistakes being made, you failed the client. because you didn't give them obviously a proper information and stuff and education and stuff on what they had to fix or the direct need and stuff, for them to fix that. So it's not just about, being able to break in. You've got to be able to make sure that you're properly educating and properly telling the client on how to fix these issues. So let's break down the best approaches I've used to be bad. One of the key ones that I love the most is being the tech repair guy. It's like, or delivery, job applicant, customer, or just I wander in. I mean, I will just like, oh, look at the open door. Cool, and see what I can find. 2, the auditor, executive, policy enforcement, where the tech and repair guy is usually the passive role, and so where I'm just trying to, hey, can you help me? I don't want to do it. The auditor, executive, policy enforcement, that's usually more of an authoritative role, more of an aggressive role. It's also very aggressive because the clients usually make me wear a tie, and if I make me wear a tie, I will destroy you utterly. So it's like, because I don't like them. 3, crazy off the wall personalities, not recommended, but really fun. It's like I've broken into places in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle pajama bottoms, barefoot in a t-shirt, which has been really fun. And I have broken in places wearing an actual shirt that said hacker on it. Also, your company's computer guy. I stolen a car one time at a hotel with a shirt that said I'm a liability. So, just really, you should really be thinking about this. So those are the 3 different personas. And what I decided to do for story time is to give you 3 different stories from 3 different countries. But the one thing that they have in common, they're financial institutions or organizations that deal with money, because therefore they're going to be more secure, right? Because, they're dealing with money. It's like they're also going to be more secure because, why do you rob banks? It's where the money's at, right? So speaking of banks, let's start off with the first one, which is the Beirut bank job. Hacker Strip was nice enough to turn this actually into a comic book because it's hilarious. And basically, I was hired by a client in Beirut, Lebanon, to test their financial systems and their financial branches in Lebanon, Jordan, and Cyprus. It's like I spent like 1 month in 5 different countries and stuff, doing some of these engagements. And I did this one, and in Beirut, it was pretty funny because they were like, I don't blend well in Beirut, by the way, in case you haven't noticed. I don't speak Arabic. I don't speak French. So I was like, we'll see how it goes. And this is one of the first branches I did because I was trying to show them how a physical compromise could lead to financial compromise of their internal network systems. And I love this one because you can see from the time that I walked in, looking at the timestamp, to the time that I got behind the teller line, 2 minutes, 22 seconds. 2 minutes and 22 seconds from the time that I walked in. I walked in, I don't know the manager's name. I've never been in this building before. I didn't know where anything was at, but heck, let's see if it works, right? So I walked in, walked straight down the hallway like I knew exactly where I was. I always, when I'm walking, I am always walking, I know exactly where I'm going. It's like, and I have done that completely, yes, just straight to a dead end, like, okay, I'm walking this way now. It's like I have walked into those dead ends before. This one didn't work out that bad. Walked down from the manager's office. His door was open. There was someone inside. So I do the half step. Half stepping is very important in information security and hacking and stuff, right? You got to do the half step, and then I back out. And I wait for about 30 seconds right outside his door. He has no idea that I'm there. Everybody else has no idea I'm not in his office. So after about 30 seconds, I walk down the hallway to the first office, an executive. This lady's in her office. And I said, yes, I'm with IT from headquarters. We're looking at the GPO policies and stuff. I'm trying to test USB rights and stuff. I need to plug this USB drive in. Don't worry about the rubber ducky on the label. Just let me plug this in and test it. So she lets me test it. I'm golden now because everybody now has seen me go to the manager's office and they've seen me talk to the executive, and I go back out and I talk to another lady. It's like, yeah, I'm doing the rights and you check this out and I need to go behind the teller line. So they let me behind the teller line. And when I mean they let me behind the teller line, I mean they let me behind the teller line. While I was doing this engagement, there was a guy depositing $200,000 in cash right beside me. I'm sure he was selling falafels. It's like, honestly, a great guy. I don't know why he was armed under his jacket, but, I didn't question him. So it's like, so yeah, that was going on. So I spent there. It's like, and one of the issues and one of the funny things about this little side part about it was when I got there and I started working on it, the manager comes out. Remember, I hadn't talked to him, but he doesn't know that. But he sees me doing all this stuff, so he automatically assumes that someone else verified that I was supposed to be there. Everybody else is going on the assumption that he's not getting upset, so therefore he verified me. And I tell him so what I'm doing with headquarters, I'm with IT, and he's like, oh, we've got a problem with one of the computers. Can you come take a look at it? And I'm like, well, sure I can. Let me go take a look. Trust me, when you're in one of these engagements, don't ever go in as a plumber unless you know how to plumb, okay? Because you're going to have a bad day. Because someone eventually is going to have a problem with and stuff, a plumbing situation that they're going to expect you to fix. So I go in as IT. I used to do desktop support, so I can go in as an IT repairman pretty easily and stuff, and get the control panel at least to go like, yeah, you got to get drivers. We'll fix that later. And that's exactly what I did. I was like, oh, this computer's up. You know what? We'll get you a new one from headquarters. When I said that, his eyes lit up like, oh, really? Well, I've got this other thing over here I need your help with. And I'm like, oh, sure. Let's take a look at it. Yeah, that screen is, you know what? I can get you another one from headquarters. And he's like, well, we've got a problem with the scanner and stuff. Can you come over here and look at the scanner? And I'm like, you know what? We're doing a whole refurb of all our branches. And because you're having so many issues here, we're going to put you on the first of the list. You're the top one starting next month to get totally refurbished. We're just going to give you all new equipment, all new screens, all new scanners, all new printers. We're just going to totally refurb you. I've got that kind of clout. I'll put you on the top of the list because you're cool. Okay? So that's all there's going to be to it. He was so happy and stuff, And on a side note, one of the saddest things that I've ever, not the saddest, and it's like, because we're going to talk about that later, was after this engagement was over, it's like I do security awareness engagements. I don't do red teaming where I just go in and break everything like, leave out, write a report. 3 months later, they get a memo that something really bad happened. I go in, I compromise everybody, I destroy everything, and then I walk out of the building for 2 minutes. I then walk back in, usually with a representative of the company with me that shows authority, and I explain to them, to every person I compromised, what I did, why I was a bad person, and why they shouldn't have done what they did, and what to look for next time. That gives them the information. That gives them a teachable moment. That gives them something that they can use to better protect themselves. So this engagement was so horrible that we actually had everybody come in. I waited till the bank was closed because I was so scared of the guy depositing the money. So wait till the bank branch closed. We got everybody, all the employees together. The gentleman that was with me could speak Arabic to make sure it was totally translated how badly they screwed up. And I explained it to tell them what I was doing, why these issues were. And halfway through, the bank manager raises his hand like he's in school. And I'm like, yes? And he's like, do we still get the equipment from headquarters? And I felt a little trouble. I was like, no, I was lying. I'm a horrible person. It's like, you're not getting anything. I felt like I kicked a puppy. It was horrible. It's like, it's like this grown man's just like, okay. I'm like, it's all right. I can't do nothing for you. So while I was there, and like I said, I was there for a little bit. If you can actually tell this timestamp, I was there for over 22 minutes. I was actually twirling in the chair. On my iPad, if you want to see this, I can actually show you the actual live video and stuff. It's like you see me twirling in the chair. But also, I needed to show that I could do online bad things, right? So what I needed to do was, you see that guy in that snappy sweater vest? It's like I got his user ID, and I got his password. And they use Sun Oracle boxes with smart cards because they're very secure. So I had to get a smart card too. So now I have a user ID, I have a password, and I have a smart card. So I need only two other things, right? I need a PC, I need network access, and I can start wiring all the money I need to wire to wherever I need to go. That'll be, shouldn't be too difficult, right? It's like I've got 3 of it. I got 3 out of 5. So what do I do next? I go to another branch, brand new branch. This engagement, I said 0. I did not say a word to anybody. I walked straight in, down the hallway, actually into the break room. So I was able to get a little glass of water because, honing people is a parched my throat. So I got a little bit of drink of water, and I waited for a couple minutes, and I walked back out right into the teller area while the guy's conducting business. and I stole the computer. I literally stole the computer from behind the teller line while they were doing business without saying a word. It's like, why do I do the pause? Why do you do a pause when you try to go into some place? It gives you validation. It shows that you're there, you're established, you may have talked to somebody, that you know what you're doing. You're obviously doing something. You're not just like walking around milling. You got to go somewhere and be there for a little bit, show that there's a permanence, and then you come back out and people accept it. So I did that without saying a word. So now I've got user ID, password, smart card, their computer. I need one more thing, I believe. So I went to the third branch, holding the computer like, hey, I'm doing a test with the headquarters and stuff, and I'm trying to do a test. I need network access to your network closet to finish this transaction, make sure everything's working right. And that sounded legit, right? So they let me in there. So there you are. That's how hard it was. Not one scrap of any kind of advanced research, not one scrap of recon done. No NLP tricks, no elite social engineering, microfacial expression reading or pretexting or anything like that. I walked in, try to be adorable, and destroy as much as I can. Basic, adorable, destructive. So let's go to the next one. This one's actually the state treasury in the United States. It's like one of the states. I can't name the states because, they're not very happy about it. But it also tells you a thing about what they do about scope. Let's talk a minute about scope. It's like when you're doing a pen test, it's like a pen tester, they want to do an attack like an attacker will do it, right? So therefore, an attacker scope is like this. I'm going to hack all the things, right? It's like I'm going to go in anytime I can. I'm going to find any kind of avenue. And you tell a client, like, we need an attack surface like this. And the client's like, yes, of course you do. That would be awesome. But can you do that kind of attack between, Monday through Friday? Okay. And we want to be able to do a quick response. So can you do that between 9 and 5? That would be awesome. Okay. And we don't want you to affect the production servers, so could you leave those out of the scope? Okay. Well, we've got this dev box on this one IP address. Can you go for there and try to attack us? That should be great. There you go. Attack us just like an attacker would. Here's your scope. And that's not the same, I believe. But, this state treasury had their scope like this. This was their scope. And when I mean this was their scope, I mean we had already successfully got inside. They were very unhappy with that results, so they sent me out to prove that I could actually break in from inside to validate all the different findings that we have, because they kept saying, well, you'd have to be inside the internal network to do that. You'd have to be inside the internal network to do that. And we already you already fell for the phishing thing. We were in the internal network, but let's for the sake of argument, let's get Jayson out there and actually get inside physically and see what happens. So I looked at their headquarters. Their headquarters were nice. No joke. They had a man-trap lobby. You mean like you had like one door that you could get validated in, then another door to get validated in with the receptionist right there. That was good. They had great camera placement. They the glass should have been shaded, but it wasn't. But they did have blinds and stuff, and they did most of the monitors were away from the window, which was good. So I mean, that was a pretty nice setup. It was like, it's like they were guarding money because they're the state treasury, so that's a good thing, right? I did find one vulnerability. I found that they had a dumbwaiter that wasn't deactivated, so that went into the basement that was a public access area for a dining room down there. And it's like, and I could have gotten in there and I could have gone through this one caged area and stuff, and then gone up the dumbwaiter inside the office, bypassing the cameras and the doors, but I didn't try that. The dumbwaiter was dark. It looked like there were spiders, and it's just no. Okay, so I wasn't going to go that route. That route was dead to me and stuff, because they wouldn't let me have fire. That wasn't part of the scope either. So they did have a building, an office in an office building farther afield. Well, awesome. You know what happened? You know what happens with those kind of buildings? You want to be connected to the internal network, right? So they just created an extranet tunnel, so they're directly connected inside the internal network. So sitting in that office is just like sitting in that headquarters. But that office didn't have all those other controls. So I was like, and hackers, we like to do things easy, right? I'm going to go after those guys. So they said, okay, Jayson, you can go after those guys, but we just have a few little rules, just a little bit of scope for you, okay? So your rules of the engagement are, you can't talk to anyone coming in or out of the building because they may not be one of our employees. So you can't talk to anybody. You can't jimmy the door. You can't use, your usual cardboard or sledgehammers and stuff, or crowbars, which are usually very helpful tools when getting into a building. So that was unfortunate. 2, if you do get inside the building, I have to stay in the public areas. I can't try to get anywhere else, as I have to stay in the public areas until I hear the cleaning crew. And then if I talk to the cleaning crew, they're not an employee of the state treasury, so I can't lie to them. I have to tell them the truth. So, can't talk to anybody, have to stay in the public area, and have to tell the truth. But other than that, go ahead, attack us. We're ready. Let's see what happens. Well, let's see how that worked out for them. Let's hurry up and get my nose off there. There we go. Here we are. This is always great. I'm going to the side door first, because maybe it's open. It is not. And once again, a crowbar was not in the list of things I could use, which sort of ruins that part. So disappointed, I start walking over to the other side, which I do tell you in the minute and 25 seconds that this video is going to last, is the longest part of the video, is walking. But it does give me a good time to, drink a little bit of Diet Pepsi. Notice carefully, when I get to the door, which will be in just a second, I promise, I try it. It's locked. I then step off to the side, pull out my magical hacking device, a phone, and start playing Angry Birds or something like that. Makes it look like I'm doing something. And then about, 8 seconds later, I believe, I did not say a word. I broke into a telecom company in Beirut, Lebanon, compromising every single one of their floors in their high-rise building that had secured doored access. We won't discuss how I got up into the floors and bypassing the lobby. We'll do that later. But it's like, well, I got in there, and each floor, at each one of those secured doors, what did I do? I had a phone out. And this guy it was my friend's phone. He didn't even have any cool games on it. So I just had to just look at it blank, just the screen, have it turned on, swipe, okay, nothing there, swipe, just doing nothing. But as soon as someone entered or someone left, walked right in. Had a phone. It's like I was busy. So it's like obviously I belonged there because I wasn't concerned about anything. So now I'm inside. So now I'm in here for 2 hours. 2 hours I'm in this facility. You do not understand how bad my ADD is and how horrible those 2 hours were, okay? Because I am locked in a lobby doing nothing. My battery was down to 2%. Angry Birds don't cover for 2 hours, people. It just doesn't work that way. So I'm there waiting for 2 hours to hear something. Finally, I hear upstairs the vacuum cleaner. Close enough, right? So I go upstairs. Wouldn't be a good Jayson video without my nose. Let's go in there upstairs. Now I'm going to have to sort of stop and repeat what they say. Usually I have the microphone down here. Let's say hello. I told her I was trying to get back into the suite, which is true. I was there the day before, and now I'm trying to get back in. That is the truth. Asked her if she could let me in real quick. She doesn't clean that one. I asked her if she could let me in, and I couldn't get in, which was true. They wouldn't let me have the crowbar, remember, so I couldn't get in. I just went to the bathroom. I was there for 2 hours, people, drinking a lot of water, okay, and I don't have my badge. I have an actual authorized employee badge for my day job. I did not have that badge with me. Truth again. I didn't say it was their badge. I have to do one thing real quick, destroy their network. Once again, honest. So I was working too late. I was on the job, to do that. It's like, and I think that corny laugh that I have is endearing to people. That's why I still use it. That's what I tell myself anyway. Now here's the longest part of this video. Is walking to the door that I need opened. I don't have the key to get in. So now I call the employee that's in his car waiting for me to fail to let him know, oh, yeah, I'm just waiting for the key now. Just give me a second. We'll see what happens. If there was no one there, you still have the phone in your hand and you still act like you're talking to someone. Because when they come back, what do you say? You say, oh, yeah, they've got the key. Don't worry about it. They've got the key now. It's cool. You don't have to come. And that shows verification. They start thinking, oh, well, he would have gotten in anyway. He didn't really need me. I'm just helping him out because he would have already done it. And that gives them that verification to do that. And that's exactly what I say in just a second. So, yeah, she's got the key. I'm good. Thanks. And that's what scope gets you. So, the scope, when you talk to a client and stuff, you tell them, it's like, you can give us as many things that you want to tie us around our things. Doesn't mean we're always going to get in. But the attackers don't have those restrictions. And you're not getting attacked by people that are auditing your network. You're getting attacked by people that are attacking your network. So the next part is, I don't do this. I honestly don't do these jobs and stuff, because they're profitable. I usually do them because I think they're fun. It's like I go to weird places. I've never broken into a facility in Boise, Idaho. It's like, no disrespect to Boise. I'm sure it sounds good, and I like saying Boise a lot, but it's just not one of those places on my bucket list of going and stuff, I like going and attacking places when you say, well, Jason, there's this research facility and stuff, with dangerous chemicals. Like, okay, let's try that one. It's like, or there's a hotel in the south of France and stuff, that wants to test their security. I'm there. So we'll go for those things. This is one of those cases. I got a job to go into a financial institution in Jamaica. And I actually gave them a discount because they said that they'd give me at least 2 days of touring Jamaica. So I'm like, yeah, I'm there, right? And it was a pretty good engagement. It was a financial institution. It's like in Kingston, and they were happy with what was going on. The really bad breaking stuff, but they were a little upset with the fact that I got in, and so they wanted to see how difficult they could make it. So they're like, well, you come downtown and come and get our facility downtown. I'm like, well, okay. But this led to what I call the Jason and the terrible, horrible, no good, very bad social engineering engagement. I have done some really low down things, okay? I have no problem coming into your facility in a wheelchair with a box on my lap and stuff, and having you open the door. No problem whatsoever. You know what? It's like people look at that and they go, oh, Jayson, that is horrible. Excuse me. The guy who's got the gun and robbing you doesn't go, I'm really sorry about this and stuff, but I need all your money. They don't apologize like that. Unless they're in Canada, maybe. It's like, I don't know about that, but probably there. Other than that, they're bad guys doing bad things. They're trying to steal from you. So they don't feel bad that they found a successful way that's just really sucky that works because it makes them money. So I went in after doing an hour and 45 minutes of research and found out that my target had a charity organization. And it was in scope because they were on the same network, telling by their email address and headers and stuff. And I was like, oh, charity organization. Way easier than a financial institution to break into, right? And once again, it's still on the same network. So the pretext was I was a visiting TV producer from America that was going to put them on TV and make them famous because of their great charity and organizational works that they do in Jamaica, because they were like great people that did awesome work in the communities in Jamaica and the poor areas. They were awesome. These people were great. So I called him up. It's like I had the guy that I was working with locally, called him up, and he says like, yeah, it's like he's here, he's visiting and stuff. It's like, let me put him on the phone. It's like, yeah, what's going on? Yeah, I was having dinner with someone, and we're talking about you and stuff, and that you came up about what you're doing. And I was like, this is perfect for my show, because what we're doing is we're talking about corporations that do public good that don't get enough advertising and doesn't get enough exposure about all the things that happen from the organization and from the corporate side that bring good charitable works to the community. And after hearing what you're doing, it was just phenomenal. But I'm flying out at 6 a.m. tomorrow and stuff. I need to meet you today. Is there any way that I can do that? 2:30? Hold on a second. Cancel my 3 o'clock. This is way more important and stuff, so I'll be doing this one. Okay, I got you in there. I'll be there. I'll see you at 2:30. It'll be great. See you then. Show up. 2:15. I don't show up to the charity organization that's across the street, right across the street. Show up to the main headquarters because I got mistaken. I'm American. What are you going to do, right? It's like, that's a great excuse. It's like, usually when you're breaking into another place and in another country and stuff, your first reaction should always be American. They usually go, oh, sorry, we've seen your television. We'll help you out. So I do that. And it's like, so I'm like, oh, this is the wrong location. Sorry, American. But by the way, since I'm here, can I use the restroom real quick because I'm real early? It's like, I always go to the restroom. It's not because of how much Diet Pepsi I drink. Trust me. It's because I get lost so many times trying to find that darn restroom. There was one location, one facility, I was lost for 2 hours trying to find the restroom. I just couldn't find it. I found the private area and stuff, and their employee entrance door and stuff, that I was able to circumvent, but I didn't find the bathroom. That eluded me. Not on this trip. As soon as you walk in, there's the receptionist and then a locked guarded door with a armed security guard right there by the door. So this armed security guard opened the door for me, and he followed me. I thought he was going into the stall with me at some point and stuff, the way he was like, he was going in. And I'm like, so he stops outside, and I'm like, I get into the restroom, and I'm like, well, crap, I really don't have to go this time. So I wait the appropriate amount of time. It's like, and then I go wash my hands because, I want them to at least think that I'm hygienic and stuff, for no process. And then I walk out of the bathroom. As soon as I walk out, there's the security guard at the door. He was like letting me know, just making sure you don't get lost, sir, right here. And I walked straight back. And then I waited, and then I went over to the charity organization. So I talked to the lady, the manager and stuff, and she talked to me, and I was like, talked to her about 10 minutes. I was like, you know what? Do you have a CEO or the guy from the corporate side of it and stuff, who runs it? I need to talk to him and try to explain to this so I can get his buy-in. She's like, oh, yes, the board of directors, the guy who runs the board of directors and stuff, he's here right now. I was like, yeah, let me talk to him. That'd be great. So we go up to his office, and I start talking to him about the show that we're doing and how I've done previous shows about these things and how we're starting to get all the episodes together. And I was like, you know what? It's like, I can keep telling you about how this is, but you don't get to visualize it unless you actually see one of the episodes. So on this nice little USB drive, don't mind the rubber ducky on it, let me plug this into your computer real quick and show you one of the videos so you'll actually see it. And it's like, so he's like, yeah, that sounds good. So I plugged that USB drive in, and it pops up. And then there was like this other error message, and there was actually technical error messages. I honestly think the malware on his computer was actually combating with the malware that was on mine, and they were like having a fight or something. It was really weird. So it's like, so I'm like at a loss at this point. I'm like actually like, well, that's never happened before. And it hasn't. It's like, that's unusual. And this guy really wanted to see this video. So he contacts his tech support, which is third party and out of scope. And I'm like, no, that's okay. I'll email you the clip. And he's like, no, I'll send it to. He hands my USB drive to this guy. I make that very important. He handed it to him, not me. Not my bad. Okay, he gave it to him, not me. And I'm like, thinking quick on my feet here and stuff, you know, because when you're social engineering, that's one of the biggest things you got to do is be able to do stuff extra tempest because you never know when it's just going to go hit the fan. And so I'm like, you know, there's other videos on that USB drive that you can't see. They're proprietary. So it's like I got to go with him to make sure I know what video he's looking at so it's the right one and he doesn't look at the other folders. And basically, I needed to go and find out what computer he put it on so I could put it in the report that that machine was compromised. So we go in and we go to his little desktop center area and stuff, you know, and he plugs into his computer. And it's a Linux computer. And I was like, okay. I programmed the code and stuff, you know, to run on Windows, okay? That's when I realized how awesome Ubuntu is with Wine. It's like, because the code ran. I'm like, well, that was also unexpected. So I got to put him on this. No, I have domain admin creds on their network and every other network he supports. So, sort of good. That was awesome, right? But then the bad part happened. I've compromised both machines. It's like I've got domain admin creds. Yay me. I have to go back into that office and talk to those wonderful people, those awesome humanitarians. The lady gave me a copy of her book. She's like the Mother Teresa of Jamaica. I still have it on my shelf when I feel bad, like, oh, you know. It's like, and I had this talk for the next 15 to 20 minutes about how they were going to be on television. And what wonderful works. I actually started buying into it. I was like, you know what we're going to do? We're going to have this female employee. And what she's going to have is like, we see her working at her desk on the computer. And then we're going to transition and we're going to pan out to the rest of the call center until we get to the glass window. And then it's going to fade. And then you're going to see the streets of Jamaica. And then you're going to see this one street, this desolate street and stuff, you know, and there's that same lady kneeling down helping to feed a child. And you're going to show how your corporation goes from the call center down and impacts directly to the streets of Jamaica. It's going to be, I mean, I was getting into it. I was like, this would make it actually a pretty good TV show, you know. So I was like getting into that and that was all good. And then I leave and I walk out of the building and I wait 2 minutes. Then I wait 3 minutes. About 4 or 5 minutes, my driver comes over because he knows my process, you know. It's like I wait 2 minutes and I go back in. About 4 or 5 minutes, he drives up to me and he's like, Jason, are you going back inside? And I'm like, I can't tell those people what I just did. I've done some really crappy things, but I can't tell them what I just did. For the first time in my life, I actually had to call the client up and call him and tell him, like, look, you have to tell those wonderful people what just happened to them because I'm not going back in. You can't make me. I'm heading back to the headquarters. Talk to you later. It's like, and so I felt really bad about that one. It's like, so that was the results. I really did feel bad about them. Usually when I successfully pwn somebody and stuff, you know, I reward myself with ice cream. And I did have ice cream on that one, but it did taste a little bitter. So it's like I didn't enjoy it as much as I usually do. But it was still outlandish, unbelievable, and it worked. It's like these are not advanced attacks. These are not something that's like, you know, it's just someone walking in. And a lot of people ask themselves, why does it work? Why do these attacks work? What did they all have in common? We want to believe. Human nature wants to believe. It's like, you know, this was like a really great conference and stuff, you know. When we all finish this conference, we're all going to go about it. I'm going to get on a plane and die. It's like, because there's probably going to be a plane crash, you know, halfway to my house, right? That's a pleasant thought. Is it in the realm of reason? Yes. Do we want to think about that part of it, that probability? No. People don't want to believe something bad can happen or will happen to them. If I can give you a reasonable lie that is better than the unpleasant truth that is occurring, you will believe the lie. Otherwise, you'll have to believe that there's a guy with this USB drive who's trying to steal data from you, who's trying to compromise you, and is trying to take all your secrets. That's not fun. That's not nice. But if there's a nice, helpful, smiling technician guy who wants to plug in a USB device to make sure you're secure and safe and everything's all going lucky and happy, well, that's totally cool. I was doing a documentary for Vice.com in London about 3 months ago, 2-3 months ago, and they were like, try to break into our headquarters. And I'm like, okay. So I literally just walk in with my USB rubber ducky, and I had some of my gear on, so I did have my Vesta Doom with me, and I had a fake ID badge. I love fake ID badges, right? So I had one that said Microsoft, had my name, said hacker on it, okay? It was on a lanyard that said professionally evil on it. Thank you, Kevin Johnson. And I walk in, it is predominantly a Mac shop. Apple's everywhere, right? And I go up to them and I'm like, and one lady actually stops me. The first lady I pick up, she's like, your badge says Microsoft on it. And I'm like, yeah, because we got a domain controller and we're trying to do the USB rights to make sure the GPO policies are affecting all the different machines. So even though it's Apple's, it's still on a network-based network, and so therefore we don't have a TCP restack and stuff, when it comes to the authorization of the USB drives, because it's just better that way. Okay. And then, exactly. And then she's like, but that says hacker on it. Oh, yeah, because, you need good hackers to go after the bad hackers, and I'm one of the good hackers helping with the bad hackers. That's why Microsoft hired me. So she's like, okay, plug it in. Cool, thanks. Plunk. All her windows disappear. And I'm like, oh, yeah, it's supposed to do that. Let me just swipe this way, and they all come back. See, I had it, the malware on the program, or it's not really malware. It's because I don't do, like I said, I don't do red teaming. I do security awareness. So I make it a game. So on a Mac, all the windows disappear, and you got to explain why all their windows went away. And but if you plug it into a Windows machine, it brings up YouTube Weird Al Yankovic White Nerdy, and I have to explain why White Nerdy just popped up on their screen. So it's and I got to one of the accountant machines that was a Windows-based machine. White Nerdy popped up, and she's like, "What? Oh no, that's just a test to make sure that you got internet connectivity, to make sure that I actually was able to get out to the internet and that the code was working properly." So yeah, that worked out great. Thank you very much. Okay. And they recorded all this. The guy that was like, when it was done, the looks on people's faces when they realized what just occurred, they were not happy. But I tried to talk to them, explain to them what happened, why we did it and stuff, But was that believable? No. It's like, why is a Microsoft guy coming in out of the blue at night, actually, to go and do all these things? But they didn't have anything to judge it on. So whose fault is that? Stupid user clicked on a link. Stupid user, went to a website they shouldn't have gone to. Stupid user let someone into their facility that shouldn't have been there. How about stupid information security didn't properly train their employees? How about stupid information security who didn't show and have a good information security policy that took in the human factor and didn't prepare for the human factor? That's where we're failing. Obviously, we've come to the vegetable parts of our talk. It's because those are the things that we need to start doing. We need to educate, empower, and enforce for our users. And what does that mean? Well, let's start off with educate. We need to start educating our users on what they need to do to better protect themselves. It's because users, when they know what a threat is, they're very good at detecting them, right? If I would have gone in those banks in Beirut, Lebanon, and I had a Ski Master shotgun, I was going to have probably a pretty bad day. It's because my intentions would have been a little bit more clear what I was trying to do. And employees have been trained for that. We train our employees to be prepared for these guys. Well, maybe not those guys because they're adorable. But it's but we prepared when they're using those things. We're afraid of those things. Those are bad things, right? Those are scary things, they give you owies. Not good. So we protected those. But we don't protect people against this. We don't train them to be aware of these guys. These are the guys you got to be afraid of, especially that one guy with the pineapple. He looks a little sketchy. Sorry, Darren. But you've got to watch out for those guys, right? The other guys go into a branch. They walk out with a couple of $1,000 if they walk out at all, and maybe a bullet hole or two. These guys walk into a branch. They walk out with millions. You know, and if they do get caught, they get, you know, to the nice, cushy, you know, white collar crime jail and stuff, you know, where everybody wants to go anyway, right, if you commit a crime. So that's what happens there. We're not training our employees on what to be afraid of. We're not teaching them to be aware of the dangers that these things have. These are terrifying in a workplace environment. It's like these things are, and you know what? People talk about like, oh, I just get some malware USB drives and I throw them in the parking lot or I put them in the bathroom or in the lobby floor and stuff. That is wasteful. It's like I walk into an engagement, I have blank envelopes. So I walk through the environment, I see someone's desk when no one's there, I see their name badge or their nameplate, there's their name, put the USB drive in, fold it, put it on their desk. They come back to their desk, they see an envelope with their name on it, they see a USB drive. Who's not plugging it in? Please raise your hand. Okay. Probably lying, but okay. But so you go there, you do plug in that USB drive, and even if the malware doesn't instantly run, it's like there's an XLL file, projects and projections and stuff, you know, for pay raises for 2016. No one's going to click on that, right? No one's going to click on something like that, especially if you're in accounting, especially if you're in HR, especially if you're just like a general IT person. You're not going to click on that. So that's what I do with USB drives. Also, you can go to conferences. I love conferences because conferences love to give out USB drives. It's like, why pay for a malware launcher when you've got, you know, a conference to go that gives them to you? There was a conference in Australia, an energy conference, where the guy actually went to one of the booths, the vendor booths, grabbed a handful of the USB drives, went upstairs to his hotel room, weaponized them. I like to say weaponized because, you know, cyber war. So it's like he weaponizes this USB drives, you know, goes back down, drops his payload into the bowl. I'm talking USB drives here. Stop. That's bad person there. So it's like he drops the payloads into the bowl and he walks away, compromising half the conference, right? It's like, that's how easy it is. And that is a known fact that occurred. It's like, and I love doing these because I did this talk in Johannesburg a couple weeks ago, and this was the gift that they gave me. So I thought that was fun. So like I said, it's like, this doesn't have malware on it yet. But, oh, actually it does now though. But it didn't when I was doing the talk there. It's like, I should update this slide. So this does have malware on it now. It's a nice pin, and it's also a laser pointer, so that's cool. So we have to be worried about these things. So we need to train our employees not to look for just the specific, this is what things are going to look like. We can't just say, look out for this, this is bad. This is actually a poster someone actually made and put in their security operations center to warn them against people that come in and that are sketchy. You know, that is a valid target and that is a valid sketchy person to be aware of, okay? Unfortunately, that's only teaching them to be aware of one specific person, not all the other people that could come in and attack them. It's like you can't make it that narrow your focus. You have to make sure they understand the behaviors, not the people doing the behaviors. Because I don't have to come in your company's computer guy shirt. I can come in with a lot of other different things thanks to this advanced social engineering facilitator called eBay. Or I can just go to DerbyCon and pick up some badges from SkyDogCon. You know, that's really nice of him. The top one where it says Gregory Evans, and I'm giving the troll face, and it actually says I'm from Oopsie Inc., was a successful badge that I used at a client site that I made from their client machine. And yes, I am putting on the troll face, and I still got in. So you got to be aware of what kind of tools that an attacker can use. But most importantly, we need to teach employees the common dangers they face, not only at work. I have a great revelation for you. This is going to knock your socks off, okay? This is mind-blown moment here. Employees don't care about your data. They don't. I know. Calm down. Employees don't care what their employers' data have, what they do for a living. They just care about their job. They are still getting pwned by phishing scams at home. They are still getting taken by Craigslist and eBay scams at home. They still don't know what their children are doing on the internet, on Facebook or anything like that at home. They still don't have a properly encrypted Wi-Fi access point at home. Why would you think that they would be better protecting your data at work? Stop trying to teach your employees how to protect your data. You will fail. Start teaching your employees how to protect themselves. Teach your employees, give a 1-hour lesson on how to properly secure their home Wi-Fi access points. Give them an hour educational lesson on how to be aware of scams that affect them at home. Give them a 1-hour lesson on how to lock down social media and Facebook profiles for their children and themselves at home. And guess what's going to happen? They're still not going to care about your data, but they're going to be more security conscious for themselves. So when they see something like that happen to them at work, they're going to be able to go and say, yeah, that looks pretty sketchy. I learned that not to do that at home. I got to report it here. And they'll start protecting your data. You got to drive home the fact that stranger danger is a good policy no matter where or how old you are. I love secured facility organizations. I love those barriers, those places that it's like locked down and heavy perimeter. I love those places. Barbed wire fences, gone over them and stuff, you know. It's like walls. It's like I was in Miami jumping off of a 4-foot gap and stuff from a parking garage to a 3rd floor window just to show them that they should lock the windows. I love those places. You know why? Because once you're behind that perimeter, what else is there? The only thing worse than no security is a false sense of security. I go into those facilities, and every person looks at me, and they're like, well, he made it through security. He's got to be okay. They've got their keys out on their desk. They've got their car keys. They've got their iPhones and their iDevices, and their laptops are unsecured. And that engagement last week, I walked out with the CFO's laptop. I started by putting a phone plug in the server room and stuff, you know, but you know me, I'm greedy, and they made me get up early, so, you know, screw them. So I walk in, and it's like, as I get in, it's like I get all that stuff done in the server room, and I'm walking out. I'm coming back from the server room. The assistant's already seen me in the server room, and I'm like, I walk in, and I notice at the door, it's a glass window thingy, and I see the door is open, and there's nobody inside the office. I didn't even know it was CFOs at the time, and I was like, so I just went, it's like, I'm here to check on the laptop, make sure that it's secured and stuff, you know, because we're trying to test some of the RAM chips and stuff, you know, to make sure that they're not causing a conflict of interest from the IP stack. Okay. I don't ever try to sound like I know what I'm talking about, okay? It's like I do talk that gibberish. So I walk in, and he had a laptop lock cable. Oh, wait, it wasn't attached to the laptop. So I close the laptop, and I walk out with it. The worst part of that whole scenario is walking outside, opening up the laptop, and realizing that the screen came back on, was not locked, and I had the open window of all his data. That is called bad, okay? And not my kind of bad. That's just, seriously, that's pretty horrible. So that happens. You also have to create teachable events year-round, not an annual exercise in utility. Does everybody have your web content questionnaire form that you talked and explained to people the dangers of information security and hacking and bad things that can happen to them on the internet? I mean, those are very hard. You know, those multiple choice questions that if you fail, you can go, oh, I got that one wrong. Let me backspace. Okay, there you go. Checked it. Whoop, secured. That works out well for everybody, right? I'm sure Sony had one of those plans too in their internet and stuff, you know, and look how great that happened. I'm not trying to pick on Sony. I just think they're horrible with their security. Oh wait, this is being recorded. My bad. So that's just the truth. Sorry. So what else do we need to do? We need to empower the employees. Because in the end, you're the only person that can protect you. You need to give them the education. Show them what they can do to protect themselves. Show them what they can do to protect their area. But then give them the will and the empowerment to actually do that. These are some of the things that you can do. Users are not the problem. They're part of your solution. They're part of your IDS system. If anybody notices something that's going to be going wrong or something that is odd, it's the person that is doing the same job over and over and over and over again every day of the week. They're the first person that's going to notice something odd's occurring. But do they know who to call? Not Ghostbusters. I mean, seriously, do they know who to call? Do you have an extension? If you're in an organization or in a company, do you have one extension that people can call for any security-related issues, physical or network-based? I was in Amman, Jordan, breaking into a bank there. The bank manager is right there in front of me. I'm plugging a USB drive into one of their terminals, and she's like, "You can't do that." And I'm like looking at her, "You're right. I shouldn't be I shouldn't be doing this." It's like, you should call somebody. Do you have a number to call? Call upstairs to headquarters and stuff. They'll be able to tell you that I'm supposed to be here because I'm really, hold on. There you go. Yeah, I shouldn't be plugging these devices in without authorization. I thought you had the authorization. It's like, you should talk to someone. You should call someone. You shouldn't be talking to me right now. I mean, you need to go talk to someone. I shouldn't be doing, hold on. I shouldn't be doing this. This is not cool. It's like, you need to contact someone, let them know, and they'll tell you I should be here. Thank you. 5, by the way. 5 machines I infected before she finally got upset because I went behind the teller line and there was a stack of money right by the computer. And it didn't freak her out that I was going to the computer. It was just the stack of money was there. And I was trying to tell her, like, look, I'm not worried about the money. I just want to plug this in real quick. And that was a no-go. So I just, got to walk out so I could get my letter telling them that it was okay. That wasn't reported to anybody. Management wasn't reported. Security wasn't notified. No, that whole incident was not reported to anybody. That might be something that your security team would want to be known about. They would like probably to know that someone walked in off the street and started plugging a USB drive into their terminals. So give them opportunities to do the right thing and reward them when they succeed and teach them when they fail. So create those moments by going and trying to walk in. This is not having to hire a pen test team, people. Just try to piggyback behind someone and stuff, behind the door and see if they stop you. Send an email that seems a little suspicious and stuff, and see if they actually click on it or they actually reply back to it. It's like, do things there that actually let them know that they can be better. And when they do the right thing, make sure you notify, you put it in a newsletter, you put to their supervisor, and you inform their supervisor that, hey, they stopped me, they did a very good job. The Starbucks card thing doesn't always work because I always carry Starbucks cards. So when people, stop me and they question me, I go, "Congratulations, we were doing a security awareness thing. You won. Here's the Starbucks card. I just need to get back in. Thanks." That works too. Sort of sad and it's sort of mean, but they got to verify. They got to verify. They got to have a number that they should be calling, and that's how the person wins, by actually calling the number and verifying what was going on. So the last part is the fun part. I like this one the best because it's one of the things you don't hear enough, because also I bash so much on information security guys. I get to bash on employers, upper management. That whole thing, this is such a tired cliche. You have to have upper management buy into the security process for it to work. What does that mean? You have to have upper management buy into the security process. Basically what it means is you may own the company. That doesn't mean you have domain admin rights. How many CEOs have domain admin rights because, I run it, I should have access to it? How many of those people have those kind of rights, have the, badge that allows them in at any time of the day or night, even though they've never done that? Do you know who the biggest target I target when I'm going after a company? The CEO or CFO's assistant. You know why? Because the CEO and CFO's assistant has a file. 99% of the time, they have a file. It's either in their email or it's on a notepad text file on their desktop. That file consists of their boss's name, full name, date of birth, social security number or national identity number, the phone numbers that they have, their credit card numbers with the back code on the other side, and their passport number. Why is that? Because they're the ones that are doing all the booking for them for travel. I was actually giving this talk, not this talk, but another talk in the Dominican Republic, and I was talking to them. It was a shipping conference. And all of a sudden, there was a disturbance. I kid you not, 4 rows into in the audience, and it was the CEO actually turning this way and screaming at his assistant, asking if she had that file. And she was like, yeah, I got that file. And he's like, delete that file now. You know, he's like creating a stir, and I'm like, I didn't mean to get anybody in trouble. There was also a good example, though. I used to work for a online bank back in 2000, you know, before the dot-com boom, or bust. So it's like, so I was working for this online bank, and the owner, the guy who owned the bank, was the CEO of the company as well, and he had an office there. And I had a policy that I would do walkthroughs, checking to make sure you had your employee badge, because you had to get into the second floor area, was where all the technical gear was, where all the servers were, where all the money was. That was our virtual vault. So you had to make sure that you had an identifiable badge. If you didn't have a viable badge and you were an employee, then you had to wear a really stupid visitor's badge that would bleed out through the rest of the day, so the next day it would be totally red and you'd know that it was void. So you had to wear that badge the whole day. Sort of like the badge of shame. I walked by the CEO's office, and I walked by and I was like, do you have your badge? I don't see your employee badge. No. I'll walk you to the receptionist. You got to get your badge. What did he do? He didn't fire me. He went down to the receptionist, and he got a visitor's badge. And he wore that badge the whole day. What did that say? That said, if I believe in the security policies of this company, you better believe in them. Because as soon as upper management, as soon as the CEO says, this is an exception that I get to take because of who I am, then the people that report to them are going to say, that's a policy I can do an exception to because I report to them. And then those people are going to say, I can make an exception because I report to that person, report to that person, and yes, you have no security policy. Those policies are to be enforced by everybody, not just because you're doubly so if you're management. Doubly so if you have better rights. In my day job at a financial institution, I have 0 domain admin rights. I have no rights to the actual server rooms. Server rooms, it takes 2 employee badges, 2 employees to go into one server room. When I'm there, it takes 3 because I have 0 rights to it. Because I'm one of the biggest threats to the company. It's like because of my knowledge, my skill and stuff, you know, even though ethically there's no problem. But because of based on skill set, I've made sure that I'm out of that process. That's how you explain it to your CEOs, your CFOs. Because of their power and their things, because of their power and their status, you know, also comes great responsibility. No suit, so you know they don't have to worry about wearing spandex, but still they have to have that responsibility. They've got that power. I'm glad someone got the Spider-Man reference. Thank you. So another thing is you have to show real-world impact. When I screw up online, how do I know in the real world that something really happened? I love playing first-person shooters. Call of Duty, Advanced Warfare, once you get a freaking Cray system to actually run the freaking graphics on it because they sucked at their coding. It's like, but once you get something like that, it's a great game to play. And I'm a runner and gunner, you know. Pew, 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 America! You know, that's how I roll. I love that game. It's like, but now, what happens if you put electrode shocks on me, little electrode thingies, that gives me 1,000 jolts every time I get shot? And I'm going to be running and going pew, 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 pew. Nope, it's going to be pew, 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 pew. You know, my online behavior will change because there is a kinetic real-world consequence to it. That's how you have to teach employees. How do you do that? If someone actually installs a virus or goes to somewhere they're not supposed to go to and you get an alert from that, invest in the time in having someone go to their desk. We have a small facility, so it's like when someone does that, I show up. And I'm not that adorable when I show up on that assignment. Excuse me, can you get out of your chair? I need to look at your computer real quick. Thank you. Sit down. You're down there. Where are they at? They're standing right behind you, trying to look at everywhere but, you know, the people that are looking at them. And I'm like looking at the computer. You got to give them an evil eye every once in a while, you know, let them know that they're in trouble. So you do that, you walk away, say, excuse me, do you know the employee policy? You know how it talks about, you know, not using executables or executing or transferring them through the internal network system? Are you aware of that? Okay, well, this was one of the infractions. You're not supposed to be doing that. It's like, we're going to have to inform your supervisor. Then you have a good day. Walked out. Sometimes if it's like actually you got something really bad on it, I take the computer with me. What did I just do? I didn't just educate that employee. I educated all those employees around them that were watching, and not watching at the same time. All those employees going, oh, thank goodness I'm not Bob. Man, he really screwed up. It's like they're going to be telling all their friends around the water cooler about like, oh my gosh, Bob got into so much trouble and stuff, It's like, and then they're going to post on Facebook, oh, Bob really bet it this time. That creates that security awareness. That shows them that there's a real world kinetic response to what they do online. That shows you how that behavior goes. So sometimes visibility is all that's necessary. Just being able to show how many people in your company know that you exist. How many people know that there's an information security department? It's like usually the only time people know that there's an information security department is when the chief of that department is getting fired because of a massive breach, Sony. So that's how it usually occurs. It's like you've got to do more about being visible, letting people know that you're out there and that you're trying to protect them and that they need to help and be part of that. If your CEO to the mailroom don't understand that they're part of the security process, then you need to make sure they do understand it because they are. So the moral of my story is I hate the TV show Breaking Bad. I hated it. I mean, during the whole freaking show, I was like, why does this guy die already? Spoiler alert. It's like, I hated this show. Why are we so happy watching the bad guy win? Why are we so happy when we see the bad guy succeed? Screw that. Start making the bad guy have a bad day. Start doing more for yourself and stuff, and for your company, so these guys don't get to profit so much. Screw him smiling. Hope he dies of cancer. Oh, well, I shouldn't say it that way. It's like, he's a bad person. And he should feel bad, though he's fictional. So, that is the end of it. This is the part where I get to drink some Diet Pepsi. That's totally not a lie, people. I am done.
Instead of buying in, you're going the complete opposite, basically. I mean, you're giving them something they can believe, but you're not trying to go all nice.
No, I'm not trying to do the advanced. There are a lot of social engineers that are out there doing it, and I tried to work with one of them, and he was like, he wanted to recreate the janitor's outfits and get their cell phone numbers and try to figure out what I preach. And I'm like, and I literally, halfway through the engagement, I was like, can I just walk in and be adorable? I mean, it works for me. It's like, I don't try to show these advanced techniques. There's a lot of people talking about NLP, and they talk about facial micro-expressions and how to do a proper pretext and how to get, and I'm like, no. I mean, there are so many different places that I've walked in literally with nothing, and I've just walked in and I was in the south of France, like I said, doing an engagement there, and I walked in the morning. It's like I'm wearing jeans, a DEF CON hacker shirt, my vest of doom, a military DEF CON cap, walking by a guy who's smoking cigarette. We're in France, smoking cigarette and stuff, out by the door, and all I do is go bonjour and walk through. And then I go through, and I'm actually in the kitchen. I'd broken in earlier, like 3 a.m. that morning. It was like, and I went a different way. So now I'm in the kitchen. There's like 2 people cooking, and I'm like, bonjour, bonjour. If they asked me anything, I was screwed because I only knew bonjour, okay? I had that one down pretty good. I can do comment allez-vous, comme ci, comme ça, excusez-moi. I request a lawyer and an American ambassador, but it's like, that's all I know. It's like, so I was just walking around, just going bonjour, and having full reign of the building. That's it. It's like, we need to, if you tell your client, and you're telling your client that, oh yeah, I did this, and we had to go through that, your client gets to go and say, wow, that's really advanced. That's really, we don't have to worry about stuff like that. That's just way too, we just need to shore this up and it should be good. I want you to understand, when I'm finished with this engagement, that your security was so piss poor, even I got in. Your security was so bad, I was able to break in. And if your security is so bad that I'm able to break in, you should feel bad. Because I'm not really trying. I mean, and what's my success rate? So far, 100%. And I'm not talking about, going into like, oh, I went and broke into a place that was right across the street from Ground Zero, SWAT team in the annex lobby area, 8 security guards in the elevator lobby, X-ray machine, metal detector. Before I even go up to the secured lobby up on the upper floor, I'm in with a valid badge and a T-shirt, work shirt that said, "Your company's computer guy." This is not difficult. Stop trying to make it seem like it's difficult and start protecting your employees and letting them know that they have to strengthen their security and their security awareness. Yes. I've got a guy who sends me spam every day. It's like when he gets a spam, he forwards it to me to let me know and be aware of it. Do I need all that spam? No. It's like, I thank him every time. And he's gotten to the point where he's actually sent me spam from his home address just to make sure that I was aware of it. And I'm like, and it's like, and that's what you do. It's like he thinks that he's part of the security team because he now is. So you have to do that. Is there anything? Yes. I did a talk in I think it was 2012. I'm old. Called Securing the Internet, You're Doing It Wrong, where I actually talked about how to get upper management buy into the security process. And one of the best things that executives want, see, this is our conundrum, okay? We're in information security, right? So what are we? We're proactive. We have to be proactive to try to mitigate risk. What is business? What is business taught? To be reactive. How to react properly. So you in information security have to learn how to make your management proactively react to something to make them secure. And you do that by teaching them. It's like show them examples of this company was breached because there was no exclusionary file access. So people with any permissions were able to access the file. I mean, there are so many opportunities right now to create a discussion with your upper management on proper security, thanks to Sony and other companies like Target and like LinkedIn, and like, who hasn't been pwned massively, horribly recently? No one as bad as Sony right now. But still, use those as examples. It's like, and I mean, I'm sorry, I hope nobody here works for Sony, but you should feel bad. It's like, so that's the way it works. It's like you have to show them with these examples. So it's like you can teach them in ways that they understand. And you let them know, it's like, look, your risk by having this is exponentially greater if we just took this much away to protect you. It's like, I promise you, and this is one of the things, I was in a management meeting one time with all these executives, and this was way back in the day when you actually had to update your viruses off of a CD from a laptop that wasn't connected to the network before. And my policy was to tell them, it's like, well, you need to make sure before your owner of your company comes in and connects to the network, they have to put the CD in and get their virus stats updated before they get onto the network to make sure they're not infected, make sure they don't infect the network. And they laughed at me. And I was like, yeah, that's hilarious. Until he gets infected, and then he asks you why you didn't protect him from himself. Then laugh at that one. And then everybody stopped laughing. And I looked a little bit more smug. But still, that's the problem. You have to protect them from themselves. You let them know that my best interest for this company, for this thing, means that I'm trying to manage you as a threat because you are a potential threat if you are compromised. And then what you've built for and what you've tried to create is going to be destroyed because of you and your permissions or what you had or your exceptions that you did on security. You explain it to them, and they're going to go, crap. Yeah. They're not stupid. I hate people saying, the pointy-haired boss from Dilbert. They're running a company. It's like most people that are running companies are pretty intelligent. It's like, or they don't get to run companies for very long. Or they get bailed out from the government, but that's a whole other story. So it's like still, it's like you got to watch out for that. It's like they know what they're talking about. If you can explain it to them in ways they can understand about risk and mitigating that risk, it's like you'll be head of the game. I can talk for hours, people. Anything else? We good? Yes.
Wasn't it when you were in Jamaica when you fell climbing the...
I had a broken arm when I did that. I did. Okay. I had broken my arm. I climbed the falls. I fell on the Dun River Falls. I went 7 months later or so, and I climbed it 1.5 times, thereby restoring and making up for it. So.
I was wondering if you were getting karma from owning the people.
No, that could have been it. Though I did zip line after that. Actually, after I fell on the falls with a broken arm, I waited for 2 hours before I zip lined down the mountain, and then I get back home, and the doctor says, it's like after taking the Jayson, if you move this thing 1 more little millimeter, we're going to have to re-break it. A piece fell off or broke off during another engagement, which is really another story I'll tell you another time because it was hilarious. Bad on my part. It was like a cartoon. But I had broken a piece off, and so they had to, there was a titanium screw where they had to attach it back, and I jostled it. I'm rambling at this point, people. We're done? Everybody wants to go home now? There's candy bars outside.
I want to talk about the time you were cutting the biscuit.
It's like, I don't know what is it. Oh, that was me chopping off part of my thumb. Why do you want to bring up all the painful things that have happened to me that have caused me pain? Thank you.